Good morning, good evening. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. For those of you on the other side of the earth, on this side of the earth, it's Monday Morning Live, and which just reminds us all of one thing. What is that? There's no such thing as time. It's something we made up. And so this person might call it 3 o'clock where they are, this 10 o'clock. There's no o'clocks anywhere, right? It's just something we made up, right? So what time is it? Yeah, really, if you think about it, wherever you are, the time is called now. All right, so here we are now on planet Earth. When is it starting? For Sylvia, we started. I hope you're on still. So anyway, good morning and good evening and good day to everyone. Yeah, very cool. Indiana, yay. Phuket. Who's here from Phuket? Oh, it's 1 a.m. for you guys in Sylvia, and you guys in Europe or I guess Africa, South Africa. So anyway, for all of you, just keep in mind that every Saturday at 7 a.m. At 4 p.m. here, which is 9 a.m. in UK and 10 a.m. in Europe, is a live stream. Or is a meeting we all have, and you need to join one of the groups. You can join Health and Healing or any of them, and you'll have access to that. Okay, we have Australia. And how long does it take to see impact on ivermectin? All of these antiparasitics, and you should be doing more than just one. But all the antiparasitics require time. It depends on the burden you're starting with. How many, how large is the biomass of parasites? But anyway, it takes time. Just like, we all have this Rockefeller idea of allopathic medicine that, I have a headache, I take some ibuprofen, it's gone in 30 minutes or whatever. So we're used to thinking about that. Good morning, good evening, Selena in North Carolina. We have this idea that I take this and it goes away. That's not how it works. Because when you do that, you're just eliminating the symptom. You're not dealing with the cause. So ivermectin, fenbendazole, niclosamide, praziquantel, all those are anti-worm, anti-helminthics, and the other one is are the antiprotozoals like nitazoxanide, tinidazole, etc. And when you take those 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, because you want to get rid of the eggs and the larvae and all that sort of thing. And remember, they're laying up to 200,000 eggs a day. So, you got to it's a rolling process. 3, 1 cycle, then another cycle, then another cycle. Okay. Yay, South Africa. Too cool. Shoni, fantastic. All right, and Instagram's on. And all right, so we're increasing. All right. All right, here's Daniel. She's talking about the biofilm, and she wants to know from nystatin. Nystatin is an antifungal. It's not going to really help with the biofilm. You can take. There are several products. Cellcore makes one. It's called not Cellcore. What's it called? I forgot. Anyway, there's lots of supplements and things you can get for biofilm. But the most important, the most powerful. I can't say product or intervention or anything like that. Is fasting on water. Whoa. So what does so here's Michael asking about agenda today, I was curious about knowing more about fasting and what does it do to the body and all that. Yeah, 12 to 48 hours. Let me talk about that a little bit. So, but before I do that, I've got to let you all know, just a reminder to everyone that we're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and all those, Rumble. We're all at Dr. Thomas Lodi, at Dr. Thomas Lodi, Dr. Thomas Lodi, and then TikTok and X. We're on the Dr. Thomas Lodi MD. You have to put the MD at the end. All right, so join us, and we're here every week at this time. Okay, but if you want to have interactions and like you ask a question and I need to say, what did they mean? Did they do this? I can't answer those questions in this format, but I can on the if you join the groups. We join the groups. Go to drthomaslodi.com, 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 and there you can join the groups, and that way we can have interactions and we can talk about it weekly. Okay, all right, cool. All right, and you're from Panama, yeah. So excellent. There's another person I know in Panama. And South Africa. Whoa. Fantastic, you guys. Belize. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about prostate, CFCs, and all that. I hope you guys are not still using the astrological symbol. Are you still using the astrological symbol? Are some of you still convinced that you have an astrological symbol in your body called Cancer? Some of you think you have Virgo or Gemini inside of you that's causing a problem. It's making a tumor. And some of you might even have Sagittarius or Scorpio or Capricorn in your body. Do you? No, you don't. None of you do. You know, that's not what you have. So don't use that stupid word. It's a Rockefeller word, and it doesn't just make you unable to communicate what you're talking about. It gives you a lot of fear and zero information and makes you bewildered and afraid. So why don't we call it what it really is? What is it when we're talking about it? We're talking about chronically fermenting cells. And why are these cells chronically fermenting? Why would they be chronically fermenting? Because fermentation is how they make energy, right? So the reason they're chronically fermenting is they can no longer engage in what's called oxidative phosphorylation, which occurs in mitochondria, which is very, very efficient way of doing it. So in those cases, 1 glucose becomes 38 ATP, which is energy. In fermentation, you only get 1 glucose gets 2, so you're 19 times less effective at producing energy. Is that important? Kind of, yeah. So in order for the cell to succeed at such a low efficiency, it has to upregulate this, downregulate this, change all that. It's called epigenetic modification. In other words, epigenetic means which of all the DNA I have, which ones am I expressing and which ones are silent. Okay, so by this cell changing its epigenetic profile, it's expressing certain genes and not expressing others. And it gets to a certain configuration, and now it's able to succeed. So we call them chronically fermenting cells, which is what they are. They're not astrological signs. Okay, so please, come on, do yourself a favor. Because every time you use that stupid word, it wipes out your immune system because it tells you you're going to die. And you're not going to die. I mean, we're all going to die. Yes, but not from this. Good, Danielle. So if you are born in that thing, then you say yes. And if someone says, how's your cancer? Say, what are you talking about? How's my cancer? As I saying, how's your Virgo? Oh, it's pretty Virgo-ish. And how's your Capricorn? Well, it's extremely Capricorn-ish. You realize these are resorts. And don't let other people talk to them. All right. So the format here is that we're going to answer pre-submitted questions, right? I have a list here. I haven't looked at yet, but we have a list here of questions. I'll look at them and we'll start discussing them for the first hour. Second hour, we're going to go into, I'll answer questions here on that are live, that are occurring spontaneous. Okay. Yes, Florida. All right, Chicky. By the way, with regards to water fasting, I have finished my the manual, which is the manual you'll have at home, and it is like step by step how to do a fast safely and effectively, and anywhere from 3 days up to 41 days. And it's taking the mystery out of fasting because they have us afraid. My God, don't fast more than, I mean, some um, liars who call themselves healthcare professionals because they don't know how to spell health. They're disease managers and they have no idea what fasting is. Oh my God, you're not going to eat. Yeah, I'm not going to eat for a while. Anyway, so um, okay, so this manual will give you the confidence and realize that you can do this without anybody's help. You don't have to pay $7,000 a week and go to some fasting center to have somebody watch you drink water. You don't have to do that. Okay, you can do it yourself, but you have to have. I describe in there what you need in terms of ways of evaluating it, and I also talk about so anybody's help you'll need under certain circumstances. Right. All right. Hi there, Montreal, Mika. So and after that, so we're just formatting it, and I'm going to get it up within a week or two. I mean, it's real soon. It's okay, and it's called. You'll find it on Jeff Bezos' website and Amazon and all that other stuff. What's the name of it? It's called. Let me just get the name of it for you because I forget those things. It's called. It's called Therapeutic Fasting, a clinical manual for metabolic reset and renewal. Therapeutic Fasting, a clinical manual for metabolic and reset and renewal. Okay. After that will be the book, the full book, which is everything you ever wanted to know and didn't know you even needed to know about fasting. And it'll be the definitive book on fasting. And it is called come on. The name is called, oh gosh. Yeah. And the name's coming up here. Come on, come on. Wait. The heck? Okay. The name of the book is oh my God. I should remember this. Why don't I remember it? I thought of it. Anyway, it's called, and it's a cool name because it pretty much describes it. It's called oh, forget me. It's called The Biology of Absence. Why Nothing is the Most Powerful Intervention. the biology of absence, why nothing is the most powerful intervention. And I go into everything. The first time people ever fasted, blah, 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 everything, you name it. You'll know everything about fasting when you read that book. But right now, in the next week or two, we're going to see the fasting manual come out. All right. Now, what happens in the first 48 hours, just real quickly, 72 hours, basically, you're just switching your metabolism from exogenously exogenous sources of fuel from eating, mainly in the form of glucose, and you're changing to endogenously inside the body sources. So when you stop eating, you no longer can do that. Your body has to go through all these metabolic changes so that you're living on sources from inside the body, which is fat. And fat, if you say, well, I'm very thin, I don't have any fat, it's true, you might not have any peripheral fat, but you've got fat around your organs that's called visceral fat, and that's very important. All right. And the way you have fat, you do a finger stick and you look at one at your glucose, another finger stick with a different instrument, and you look at your ketones, which are byproducts of fat metabolism, and you'll have ketones. Anyway, you'll be using those two and other monitors throughout the fast to do it. So anyway, that's what's happening. And it's the hardest part, first 3 days, because ghrelin is up there. Ghrelin is what makes you say, I'm hungry. Okay. And it's like peaking and peaking because you want to eat. It's going to go away after day 3. And day 4, you're going to wake up low ghrelin, stabilized leptin, low insulin, low glucose, ketones, and you're going to say, I feel great. Yeah. And I'm not hungry. That's what happens. All right. It's pretty cool. So get there to day 4. That's why when people say I did a 3-day water fast, I go, oh my gosh, we went through all the hard part and now you stopped. Now it would be easy. But you got to drink enough water. All right. So let's go into the questions. By the way, so you know where we're at. You know about the groups. You're going to join the groups if you want to have continued ongoing discussions and weekly. And so, by the way, all of the on most of the platforms, what we're doing right now will be saved and available to you to watch later, in case you have to go early. Okay. So let's see. First question is from Beverly, and she says, topic is Alzheimer's. My husband Mark has posterior cortical atrophy. He has done 2.5 months juice fast, 16-day water fast, healthy vegetarian diet, parasite cleanse, hyperbaric chamber, and sound therapy, red light therapy, no medications. He has continued to decline. Can you suggest anything else, please? Well, that's fantastic that he has done that so far, Beverly. And so hold on a second. Where was my? All right. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah. So now, okay, so you're doing great, and he's doing great. So and you're on the right track. How do I what do I do to make this process stop occurring? And that's the only way to deal with it. Okay, so they're calling it posterior cortical atrophy, as if that were a thing. You have posterior cortical atrophy. That doesn't tell you anything, right? Posterior means in the back. Cortical, we're talking about brain. Atrophy, shrinkage. You have in the back of your brain is shrinking. That's what you have. That's not a have, that's a process. Right? It's a progressive and rare neurodegenerative disease. Often considered a visual variant of Alzheimer's. Right? So the cells back here in the back of the brain where we have vision begin to shrink. Okay? And so you start to lose like the ability to read and spatial and other kinds of processing is what happens. All right. And so the brain has a bunch of sides. It's a 3-dimensional object. It's got all the sides around, it's got an underneath it, it's got a middle and all that stuff. But in the back where vision is occurs, that part is shrinking, right? And so it's really hard, like, like when you like walking up the stairs, or really understanding if you're in the car how fast cars are moving, and so distances are really, really very difficult, right? And then you can get lost in familiar places. So, and a lot of this is what are some of the symptoms that are ascribed to what is called Alzheimer's. There's no such thing as Alzheimer's. Again, Alzheimer's, when that term first started being used, when was that? Back in was that like the 70s or something, 80s? Anyway, prior to that, they never used it. I'm not sure when they started. And it used to mean, originally, it meant pre-senile dementia. What does that mean? Pre-senile. Before you get old, you're getting demented. Because usually we expect people that are old to get demented. Again, that's not like a healthy part of life to get demented. It's okay. So it's saying you're getting demented early. And now the definition of Alzheimer's has changed completely. And now almost any kind of dementia means a cognitive decline, either processing or expressing, begins to fail. I mean, so you forget your everything. You're not just, like, instead of forgetting where you put your keys, you forget where you put your house. You forget, it's a terrible, terrible thing. But what does it do too? Why doesn't everybody get it? If it was a part of aging, senile aging, why doesn't everybody have this particular problem? And again, it's not a thing, it's a process. Also, back then in the 70s and 80s, there was no such thing as autism. It did not exist. And suddenly it exists. There's an it. Well, it's called, you have autism. And then what did we say about 10, 15 years later? You're on the autism spectrum disorder. Huh? What does that mean? Well, that means there's variations of autism. Oh, I see. So autism, where that word comes from, autoism. Absurd word. But it basically means that you're kind of stuck in yourself, and you have no, you're not really aware of, nor do you interact as much as you would be helpful for you with anything outside of your self. So you're just in yourself. And so those, originally we thought of people just sitting there rocking because they're getting self-stimulation. Okay, so not being in touch with the others, other people around you, you're considered socially awkward or whatever. But anyway, regressive cortical atrophy, as if it existed. So what's happening? Okay, so if it's related to Alzheimer's, which means we're talking about the accumulation of plaque, and there's other things they can find on autopsy when they look at the brain that had occurred in people who they said had autism, right? And okay, so why do these things accumulate, and why don't they accumulate in everyone? These things, these plaques, why don't they accumulate in everyone? Because they have either not allowed them to form, or they have eliminated them when they did form. How do we do that? Well, we do that by making sure that we are living in accordance with our biological requirements, which means we're eating real human food, right? Which does not come in packages. There are no packages that are growing on trees. And if I give you an apple, you don't need a label to tell you what it is. Okay, so if someone's got a label, that means they got to tell you what's there because they're hiding it from you. Yeah, yeah. In here, I mean, I know this looks like a potato chip when we call it a potato chip, but do you know what's in it? Oh my gosh. When you read what's in it, you'll say, but where's the food? So it looks like a chemical formula of some sort. Yeah, so this is not food. Food is that which our body is able to convert into energy, or use it to build body parts, microscopic, cellular body parts, right? So hunger is a consequence of having a deficit in either or energy or nutrients. And so when you eat, you get these substances and you utilize them. And then as soon as that deficit is satisfied, you stop eating. That's hunger. Well, that's not how we eat. We eat out of appetite. Appetite is I gotta have a pizza. I gotta have a steak. I gotta have a whatever it is. You gotta have it, don't. All right, because you're feeding something in your mind. When you know you gotta have, that means you're responding to a thought, a memory. But if you're hungry, like any creature, animal, you eat whatever's in front of you that is within your instinctual variables, right? So for example, a giraffe is hungry. It's not going to look at an animal and want to eat it. It's going to look at leaves because it's in its instinct, right? It doesn't need to go to seminars and classes on what is real giraffe food. What should a healthy giraffe eat? They don't have to do that. They all know. Dogs, no. Even mosquitoes, no. And they all know what to eat because they're connected to the divine web of wisdom. In other words, this is the web by which all creatures are connected to the wisdom of God. I don't like the word God. Why do you use the word God? Well, what should I use? That's the one we're familiar with. I can use another word. But what are we talking about when we say God? We're not talking about a guy with a beard sitting up somewhere in a place called heaven who is making rules and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about. Okay. We're talking about the fabric of existence, that which underlies and is that out of which all things exist. It's intelligent. Well, it's beyond intelligent. And it's that out of which all things arise. So God does not have XY chromosomes, so we don't need to call it a he. Doesn't have XS chromosome, so we don't need to call it a she. Doesn't have any chromosomes. It is chromosomes. And so, but we use that because because of our language, we have to designate it as a noun somehow. So I like the way the Hindus in Vedic knowledge, they call it the unknowable ground of existence. Unknowable ground of existence. Anyway. That's what instinct is. Instinct is when you're connected to that. And instinct will tell you what the instinct is. How that baby spider, 2 weeks old, spins a perfect web. A web that even they have to study, and it would be the envy of anybody in studying mechanical engineering. It's pretty amazing. Wow. Does it the first time. The baby bird gets up and joins the flock. First time, did not go to aviation academy and flies in perfect formation. How? A creature is born with a beak and with wings. Pretty soon it flies. Why? Someone said, no, listen, by the way, you've got these wings. You see those things there? And if you flap them in a certain way, you're going to be able to fly. That doesn't happen. All right. Okay. Why don't we have access to and why don't we use our instincts? Because what did your parents tell you first? Besides saying, coochie coo, yay, what a cute little baby. What did they say after that? They said, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't. It's the rhythm. It's the rhythm of culture. It's the cultural dance we get into. No, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop, don't, no, stop. Okay, so you get that. So what does that tell you? And you're a little baby, you haven't even learned to speak yet. And your parents, which are gods, telling you, no, stop, don't, all you know is they don't like me. I'm being rejected. Yes. That's the message to the pre-verbal infant, that they're being rejected by the gods of the universe. And they didn't know they were doing something wrong, because they just are. So what happens with that? What happens with that? What happens is, when this baby grows up, he doesn't trust. I mean, the mother and father rejected them. So to feel safe, that baby that grew up says, someone says, listen, you want to work for me? Yeah, I'll work for you. I want a contract. Give me a contract. I want to define what's going to happen, because I don't trust you. In fact, we even get contracts when we get married, because what we're telling this person we're going to marry, look, I love you and all that, but I really don't trust you. And if you leave me, blah, 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 blah. So we turn love into a civil process, which involves a contract. And you got to get the clerk to stamp it. So when the clerk stamps it, you're definitely together. Huh? What? Huh? What? Right. So this is our lives. This is in the beginning of the insanity. So what do we learn for that? What do we learn? We learn how to respond culturally appropriate, right? Not instinctively. So we no longer know how to access instinct, and all we know how to do is respond culturally. All right. So we don't know what to eat, was the bottom line. And we don't know what to eat, and we don't know when to sleep. We don't know when to do anything, because we're just walking around stupid. And if we read frequently asked questions, how long do I have to drink water? If I drink water, will I get hydrated for sure? I mean, this is the kind of they if you read these questions, you're going to think, oh my God, we're all stupid, right? They want you to think you're stupid, because nobody's asking that question. Nobody. They want you to think people are asking frequently asked questions, FAQs, and we're not going to say frequently asked questions anymore, right? It's too difficult. We're going to say FAQs. We love acronyms. And if we can't get an acronym, we're going to at least get an idiom. Birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. I get it. Oh, opposites attract. Opposites attract. Wait a minute. Birds of a feather flock together and opposites attract. Which is it? I don't need to know. I'll just say both. Because I'm a typical enculturated idiot. And I like to use idioms. The reason we use idioms is because we're idiots. All right, so stop using idioms, because when you use an idiom, what you're saying is, like, I don't have time to think about this. I'm going to throw this phrase out to you. Well, take the time, think about it, articulate it in your own. If you have a feeling and you have a thought you want to communicate, figure it out, express it. Don't grab onto an idiom, and don't grab onto an acronym. Okay, so you have PCS, progressive cortical syndrome, or PCA, progressive cortical atrophy. So why are they happening? Because you're accumulating amyloid plaque. Oh, no. Why are you doing it? A couple reasons. Number one, do you know what the cure for it is? You know how to get rid of all this stuff? All you got to do is nothing. What I mean by doing nothing, I mean stop eating. Just drink water. Stop eating. It's called fasting. And there's phases in the fast where you get up to the point where you will start eliminating all these plaques. And plaques in your arteries and tumors and things like that. Yeah. and you're going to reorganize your autonomic, your nervous system and your immune system, and so you'll no longer have all these conditions that are called uh autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease, auto, self, immune. So my immune system is attacking my body. Why? Because it's stupid. You know that. Your immune system is stupid. It doesn't know what to attack, so it attacks itself. Right? And you believe that, right? You believe that. You think that's true? Mm-hmm. All right. It's not true. The immune system can't make a mistake. Nature cannot make a mistake. It cannot. It's just not possible because nature is hardwired and designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to do that which is necessary. That's it. It doesn't decide to do something. When water's running downhill and it gets to a rock and a stream, a rock and a hill, or it doesn't say, now let me see, should I go right or left here? It just goes the only way it can go. That's nature. So if nature's doing something, your body's doing something, it's doing it because it has to. There's nothing else it can do. So what are you gonna do? Beat it? Shoot at, kill it with drugs? Well, that's what Rocky and the boys want you to do. You know Rocky and the boys. His buddies were like a guy named Morgan and a bunch of people out in Europe called Rothschilds. And there's some other groups too. We can't mention the names. We can't mention the names because the computer will go off. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So when you stop eating, that's what happens. Why would we stop? Why would I stop eating? That's not natural. No, it's not. Well, I want you to look out in nature. I want you to look into the jungles. I want you to look into the forest. And I want you to tell me find one animal, insect, I don't care what it is, that eats every day. You won't, because they don't find food every day. Why is that? Because God's mean? No. It's built into the processes and the fabric of the way things happen in nature. It's a natural occurrence. Why? Because when you're not eating, your body is cleaning house, repairing, and assimilating that which you did eat. And if you don't give your body a chance to not be processing food, then it's going to only be processing food, and that's what happens. So you stop eating 5 hours before you go to sleep, and you go to sleep early. Why do you go to sleep early? Go to sleep early because, and by the way, this has to do with your progressive cortical atrophy, whatever the hell they're called. Because the brain doesn't have lymphatic systems like other organs, like the liver, the breast. Okay, it's got what's called a glymphatic system, and that glymphatic system functions best during slow wave sleep. Slow wave sleep is when you're just at delta waves, right? They're very slow, which allows the pressure in the interstitial fluid and the pressure in the cerebral spinal fluid and all that to have more of an effect. And so it kind of pumps and cleans. It's called lymphatic system. It only happens during delta wave sleep. When does delta wave sleep happen? Early hours. Okay. You didn't do it by midnight, you're not going to do it. 11, you might get a little bit in. You got to go to bed at least be asleep by 9. And that will clean your brain every day. Otherwise, you're going to accumulate stuff. And by the way, you can't, I don't care if you say, when I work, I did, okay, whatever it is that you do, like you work night shift or whatever the million reasons are, I can't, I got to go on dates. I got to go to the club. I got to go clubbing and stuff. It doesn't mean if you get there before 11, you're just like really not cool. Well, be not cool for a while. Okay. Okay. Anyway, whatever your reason for not going to sleep early, that's great. Those are your reasons. And we'll write them on your tombstone. This person really wanted to do what was healthy, but they wanted to do what's healthy, but they didn't. All right. So in other words, it won't matter because you cannot negotiate with nature. You can't demand nature to do anything. You can't buy. You can't buy health. You can't demand health. You can't negotiate health. You can earn it. Period. You can earn it. And how do you earn health? This is the biggest secret of all. By living healthy. Oh my God, don't tell me it's that easy. Yeah, it's that easy. Yeah, but that's not easy. It's not easy to live healthy when your parents brought you up to be a consuming idiot. Right? You learn how to consume. She's really a smart, good shopper. Huh. So she knows how to consume. Yeah, I only shop at. Oh. In other words, you're shopping, you're going to a place to get something that somebody else did because you can't figure out how to do it. So we're no longer self-reliant organisms, human beings. We're now completely reliant on other people. We don't know how to do anything except shop. What else do we know how to do? Do we know how to make clothes? No, no, no. We know how to shop. Do we know how to? No, 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 no. So, oh, we do. We know how to scroll. So, drooling, scrolling shoppers, drooling, drooling. What did I say? Scrolling, drooling, scrolling shoppers. We're very good at that. We drool, scroll, and shop. Drool, scroll, and shop. You got that? Drool, scroll, and shop. And everybody, listen, I know your questions out there. Wait a minute. I wish he would shut up so I could get to my question. And why do you want a question? Why do you have a question? You have a question because you lack understanding. Why do you lack understanding? Because you grew up in the Rockefeller world. And Rockefeller said pretty clearly in 1903 when he formed the General Education Board, he said, I don't want thinkers, I want workers. So we're really good at that. We're really good at that. We're good at, oh, I got to get to work, yeah, and I got to punch the clock. Yeah. Get my thing, yeah. Or at least let my boss see that I was there on time. So we're workers, and workers do what? They follow directions because we don't want workers to think. I didn't ask you for your opinion. Just do it. All right. So that's it. So that's what our education system brings us to. It turns us into drooling, scrolling shoppers. What else do we do? Well, I don't scroll all the time. Like sometimes I play video games. Yeah, yeah. And what else I do? Yeah, I go out. Drink with my friends, and we talk about what? What do you talk about? Well, people, things, events. We're pretty cool. Do you ever talk about ideas or concepts or philosophy? What is that? What is that? Anyway, I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to show you what has happened to us. We went from self-reliant, self-confident people who managed our own lives and took care of our own lives to people who don't know how to do anything. And we're dependent on everybody else to stay alive. And so we have learned how to become what? Dependent. And how do you become a good dependent? Well, if you want to exercise any control as a dependent, you become manipulative. Right? So I wouldn't say, hey, can I have a little money? You'd say, I'm having a hard time getting through this thing because you want them you want to set the stage for them to this manipulation. So we're all manipulating. So we don't communicate directly. We don't say, hey, I need this. I know you have it. Would you mind giving me some? We wouldn't say that unless it's our parents. Anyway, so going to sleep early and then doing fasting. So you're I'm really glad you did what Was it 12 days of a fast you did? Fantastic. It's a great start. How many days of fast you did? 2.5 months. That's incredible. And I just wonder what kind of juice you're drinking. So that's beautiful. Beautiful. Your husband did fantastic, apparently. And a 16-day water fast, that's fantastic. You know, it's between days 30 and 40 that everything changes. So when my manual comes out, you'll see how to do this safely, so you don't have to worry about it. All right. But that works. I mean, it works. It only works 100% of the time. Okay. Anyway, that's that. And then when you do resume eating, make sure you're eating. Like when we say he's a healthy vegetarian, we have to understand what that means. What does that mean? There are vegetarians that are really pastatarians or breaditarians, or because the word vegetarian, the root of that word is vegetable. And that vegetable, the way it was produced by nature, was perfect. We don't make it better by boiling it. It doesn't get better. You don't get more nutrients. And that's not true, you know. I read that the longer you simmer and stew tomatoes, the more lycopene you get. True. Is that all? Are tomatoes just lycopene? Red lycopene balls? No. They've got at least 100 million other molecules in there that enhance and are necessary for, and all that sort of thing, the utilization of lycopene and other things. So but the longer you boil it, the more lycopene you have, because you have nothing else, because you've gotten rid of everything else. Anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense to anybody, but replay it and think about it. Replay this when it's done. All right. But you guys should do it. So I don't know what a healthy vegetarian diet is, but I hope it is. And so I hope when you resume eating after you do your long fast, and then you eat healthy, you eat a healthy volume, healthy frequency, and actually quality, volume, frequency, and quality. All right, that's what you're going to eat in terms of food. You're going to stop eating 5 hours before sleep, and you're going to go to bed by 9. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. Only if you want to get healthy. If you don't want to get healthy, then you can do whatever you want. Hyperbaric chamber, excellent. And sound therapy, excellent. I'm not sure what you're doing in terms of that sound therapy. That's fantastic. But music's the medicine of all ages. Yeah. And red light therapy. And red light therapy is good. And you might want to do a far infrared in his case, because you want to detox. So far infrared is good for the detox. Red light therapy is pretty good for superficial things like skin and no medications. That's fantastic. And the other thing you cannot overlook at all is your dentition, your mouth. Have you had extractions? Do you have root canals? Do you have any substances that are been put into your mouth by dentists? Anyway, you've got to go to a biological dentist, and you'll do that by going to IAOMC. IAOMT, International Alliance of what is it? International Medical Toxicology. No, that's not it. It's International Alliance Oral. What the heck is that? IAOMT is International Academy of Oral and Medical Oral Medicine and Toxicology. International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology, or International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. All right. And you want to make sure the dentist has been certified, not just joined it. And go on that website and find one near you. Go there and get a 3D cone beam CT and find out what's going on in the mouth, because does that have a direct connection with this condition? Well, the mouth and the brain are in the same container. And also the mouth is in another bigger container called the body. Yeah. So it has to do with everything. Is the mouth important? Do birds have lips? Uh-huh. Do snakes have hips? The answer is yes. So you got to do that, okay? And clean. You're doing the right thing. I'm really amazed. It's fantastic, everything. You just got to do it a little bit further. And although he's going to need to go through chelation, you got to make sure when you start eating again that he's got enough antioxidants on board. So he's taking adequate, healthy amounts of vitamin C, 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate 4 times a day, 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate 4 times a day, 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate 4 times a day. Mixed carotenoids, by the way, mixed carotenoid, mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols, not just they usually take just 1 or 2 of those. And in the mixed carotenoids, we don't just take beta carotene, we take alpha carotene, beta carotene, gamma carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin, astaxanthin, etc. There's all these different ones. In addition, you might take Valasta. Valasta is astaxanthin connected to glucose molecules, so it can get into your cells. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you do all this and you're getting enough vitamin D, which is a lot. And you're getting an melatonin because our pineal glands have been systematically attacked, and they're still being attacked. And they're not what they were a long time ago. When I mean a long time ago, I mean about 126 years ago. So they're not quite the same. The pineal gland produces melatonin, and it produces epithalamin, and it produces what's it called again? It's called whoa, I slept a lot last night. How come I'm you know why I'm getting my son? It's accumulation of toxins. Dimethyltryptamine. Okay, it's producing dimethyltryptamine, epithalamin, and melatonin. Like everything to do with everything. Okay, but it's being systematically calcified by getting fluoride and EMF, etc., etc., etc. So take extra melatonin. By the way, it's a lot of stuff. So join the group so you can get lists of this stuff. You can, and we can talk about it. You can read it and say, well, we can have dialogues. Okay, all right, very good. Next one is Mike, and Mike says fatty liver. I'm 63, vegetarian, 50 years, vegan for 10. I do 8 to 6 fasting daily. I'm fit and slim. Don't drink, don't smoke. Wow, great. I've got fatty liver and enlarged prostate. I don't understand why. Neither do clinicians. I'm ready to do the work. So, yes, Mike, fantastic. Okay, so you eat in an 18 to 6 pattern. That's not fasting. Fasting is 24 hours without nutrients. That's a fast. What you're doing is you're eating in a way that's more healthy, which is more in which if you had to put a label on it, you call it caloric restriction, or what else do they call it? They call it restricted eating, restricted time eating, or time restricted eating, or whatever. All that stuff. So anything within 24 hours is just dietary habits. A fast is 24 hours. And I go to it in the I'll explain what that is in the larger book, right? The biology of absence. All right. So anyway, so you do, that's fantastic. And I hope those 18 hours began 5 hours before you go to sleep, because you're 63, 5 hours before sleep, and you're going to sleep at 9. Okay. Vegetarian for 50 years, fantastic. You sound like me, and vegan for 10 years. That's fantastic. All right, now let's just make sure that you're eating only about 10% of that cooked. And the rest you're eating the way nature and God, nature, which is the manifestation, physical manifestation of God's work. God's not a guy, no XY chromosomes. Okay. Anyway, yeah. And so you're eating in that time period like that, and you're eating like 90%. You're eating 90% uncooked and 10% cooked. And when you're cooking, you're only using steamed or boiling. All right. And so you fit slim, you don't drink, you don't smoke. That's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. So the question is, okay, so why is my prostate enlarged and why do I have a fatty liver, right? And so whenever we talk about anything, remember what we always want to do is define our terms, right? If we define our terms, we know what we're talking about, then we can talk about it, right? Because if we don't have the same understanding of what it is, right? Then we're not communicating, right? So basically, what happens in what's called fatty liver disease. They also, if you're smart, you call it steatotic liver disease. Steatotic liver disease. It's just they're stupid. They're stupid. Okay. So we see this happening with sugary foods, a lot of sugary foods, and processed foods. It happens, and alcohol and stuff like that when you're not drinking. Okay, but processed foods, a lot of modified fructose corn syrup, and stuff like that. So you can remember you can be a vegan and still eat that stuff. So if you're eating whole foods and 90% is uncooked, and this is organic, you won't have it. All right. Now, so, and the way okay, so you've got this liver and fat is being deposited there because of your metabolism is unbalanced. I mean, you get anywhere from 5 to 10% of the liver being fat. It's when they give it that name, right? They love to give it names. Okay. So obviously, and you're thin already, that means you're moving around. I hope you're moving around all throughout the day. You're like at least every 90 minutes, you're engaging in 10 minutes of vigorous movement and exercise, jumping jacks, push-ups, and a whole bunch of stuff for 10 minutes, right? Okay. All right. Walking and all that stuff, all right? So, now, why does fat form? What is fat form? Why does fat form? Fat forms when you have an excess of carbohydrates, glucose specifically. When you've got an excess of glucose, in other words, there's more glucose in your blood than that, and it has all been transferred appropriately to the cells for use as fuel and as for parts to provide carbon backbones for biosynthesis, etc. Now it's got to store it. Why is it going to store it? Because it's important stuff. It's energy. It's stuff. So it stores it in a molecular. It stores it. It packages it into something called triglycerides, which are fat, and it puts it away for later. All right. So if it's doing that in your liver, if it's doing that, it means there's excess carbs. There's the only way. It doesn't happen another way. It doesn't happen another way. The prostate gets enlarged and gets congested when it is not eating healthy. And you're already eating really good. So that's the one thing is over. The other one is use. Prostate's job is to produce semen, which is the medium in which sperm can be transported. And in that medium is also some food for the sperm and all the things to keep the sperm healthy. because sperm are really tiny little guys, and they need to be delivered in a package, and that package is semen, which is what the prostate does. So if the prostate is not, so in other words, if a man does not ejaculate at least 21 times a month, then that all that fluid backs up and becomes congested. And that's one reason. The other one is diet and whether or not you're sedentary or moving around and those kinds of things. Other than that, and you've got to have balanced hormones. And the problem with keeping your hormones balanced is that we live in we're at war. Rockefeller and his boys have an undeclared war against us. And one of his on the maternal side, one of the maternal descendants and of course, there's a great controversy about this, is a guy named William Henry Gates III, also known as Billy Boy, the philanthropist, who's trying to help us. Yeah, he was just trying to help us. He's a good guy. Anyway, I heard he's still breathing. Interesting. Why? How? Anyway, there's a war going on, and that war is aimed at our food, at our water, at the air, at the sunshine, everywhere. So it's pretty heavy. So anyway, moving all day, active, eating uncooked plant food as much as possible within a 4 to 6 hour window, and stopping 5 hours before sleep and going to sleep early, and lying on your side. By the way, lying on your side, you get better lymphatic cleansing than lying on your back or your stomach. Lying on your side, you get better cleansing of your brain. Lying on your side, when you sleep, you get better cleansing of your brain. Lying on your side, you get better cleansing of your brain when you sleep. And you go to sleep early. And you've had enough melatonin, yes. And you're moving around all day, and you ate, you're doing all these things. No excess carbs, and you're not going to have fatty liver. It's just the way it is. So I wish you were in a group so I could talk to you and ask you some questions. Because if you're doing all that and you still have it, then we have some questions. All right, and if you have steatohepatitis, like they like to call it, which is fatty liver, it will eventually harm the natural architecture of the liver, and you'll wind up with fibrosis, which is another way of saying scarring, which eventually turns into cirrhosis. So definitely something you need to work. In the prostate, you've got to remember, and in order to have a healthy amount of ejaculatory frequency, you need to have your hormones balanced, like testosterone and estradiol and DHEAS, sulfated DHEA. All the hormones need to be balanced. Your thyroid, your adrenal, all they need to be balanced, and you can do that. And anyway, so just join the group so we can talk about all the ways in which you can do this. And so you do that, and then you'll have the motivation to ejaculate, and you'll have the ability, and you'll do it. And you'll be eating healthy, and then it just doesn't happen. So really, and you go to the biological dentist, please. Everybody go to a real IAOMT certified biological dentist. Okay. Now, Loretta, Okay, and this, I'm sorry I didn't answer many questions, but I answered a lot. Listen, let me remind you all something, please. I didn't answer you didn't answer my question. Well, but I answered 1,000 questions you might not have even had because I want to give you understanding. Understanding eliminates future questions. And if we don't understand and we don't know why we're doing whatever we're doing, we're likely to do it either wrong or stop doing it. All right? Yeah. Um, so just as a friendly reminder that that's what we're talking about. Um, and then also, okay, so and so this question is this new question. The subject is lupus. What is lupus? How do we get it? So lupus is short for SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, and systemic means the whole body system. Lupus erythematosus. Again, another stupid name. Lupus comes from it's the from a wolf. So apparently, they think that wolves have like this butterfly configuration of markings on its face. I guess that's what they think. So a wolf, you revere a wolf, you're gonna have like that, right? That's what they think. Um, so anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting. So wolves, like dogs and all that, they all of a group called Canidae, Kancanidae, Canidae. Okay, so it's like kind of like the dog family, right? And then so Canis lupus, right? Canis lupus. So that's what the word lupus comes from. That's where it's a wolf. And if you look at a wolf, they have some of them, depends on the coloring, have this thing. That's where they got it. So the idea, and erythematosis, erythema is red, means your blood is redness. Erythema means in the blood. Era is red. Osis is a condition of. So this marking on your face is red. I mean, that's all. That's what it means. SLE system. So I want you to realize how stupid this thing is, right? How stupid these remarks are. All right. All right. So SLE systemic means it affects what? Joints, skin, tendons, ligaments, uh, heart, kidneys, brain, everything, right? Lungs, and so that means you can have this stuff that's going on can happen anywhere. So you can have kidney problems, you can have heart problems, you can have brain problems. You know, it's called lupus cerebritis. Your brain gets infected and you go crazy. I mean, it's got all the things, but it's supposed to be this butterfly rash across the cheeks. That's where it's got its name, and it can manifest as inflammation in the joint. In other words, there's inflammation going on all over the body, different areas. That's really what's happening. Why do we have inflammation? We have inflammation because it's a healing process. So in acute inflammation, you bang your finger, it gets red hot, swollen, and painful, and it's healing. And a few days later, it's back to normal and it's working again. Everything's fine. Chronic inflammation is you keep banging your finger and now it needs to protect itself from your banging, and that's what it gets. Chronic inflammation is more of a protective building up. It's tissue proliferation to protect yourself from things more than healing. All right. And so that's him. So the question is, what are you doing? What is the banging your finger is a metaphor for what? What is happening? What is causing your body to be chronically inflamed? Something or some things. Could be part of it, could be, and probably is related to your dental health. Definitely what you're eating and what you're not eating, and when you eat, when you sleep, when you move, and what you do with your mind. Do you know how to turn it off so that it doesn't attack you 24/7? Are your bowels being cleaned appropriately? All right. Now, there's no known cause of lupus. Yeah, there is, because it's not lupus. All right. Well, it's got some. There are some associated viruses like Epstein-Barr and other, yeah, and yeah, and certain medications and emotional stress, and of course, there's a genetic component. See, all that what I just said means less than nothing. Yeah, less than nothing. Rocky and the boys, I've got you running after a thing called lupus instead of taking care of your health. Running after a thing called lupus instead of taking care of your health. So what do we do? Is our goal to get rid of lupus? What if we have stage 4 heart failure? We get rid of the lupus. Are we happy? No. What if we have a tumor growing and we get rid of the lupus and now the tumor grows? Are we happy? No. So what is our real goal? Our real goal is to be restored to, or if we never had it, achieved health. And what is health? Optimal functioning of the organism. Optimal functioning of the organism. What is optimal functioning of the organism? Oh, okay. So how do I do that? But you supply all of the biological needs, and in humans, all the psychological needs. Then you have optimal function. And supplying all the psychological needs means, and biological needs means that you're not supplying that which you don't need, and you're not supplying an excess of that which you do need, and you're getting all the stuff that you do need. Then guess what happens? The body was hardwired to do that work. Hardwired is a stupid term that I'm using from our daily, our new colloquial bullshit talk that we have. That's all based on computers now, because we're all not only are we trying to merge with our silicon-based machines, but even learning their language. So I will stop using it. So our body is designed. The processes by which our body and our health exists. Okay. Now the body is even whoever's considered the greatest mind. I mean, I think they've estimated like Newton's IQ to be way up, like 300 or something. Da Vinci, some of these. I mean, the smartest guy ever or girl ever, and you put them all together, still cannot comprehend what the body's doing, because the body is engaging in anywhere from 37 to 100 sextillion chemical reactions every second. What is a sextillion? It's a number with 21 zeros per second, and each reaction is dependent on the reaction next to it. No one understands. No one understands. Not even at Harvard or Oxford, or any of those places. They don't understand. Not even Tesla. Nobody. Tesla just knew that it was wow. All right. All right. So nobody's going to understand it. So all you're going to do is try to make sure it has all it needs and nothing that it doesn't need. And that includes, I'm talking about sleep, movement, all the stuff. Turning off the mind. That's when we talk about biological, psychological needs. Spiritual needs, you don't have to worry about spiritual needs, because the spirit is eternal, unchanging, and perfect. The problem is that the mind gets in the way of the spirit being able to manifest. It blocks it. The mind blocks spirit. Anyway, so that's that. So lupus, number one, your immune system is disordered. It's out of balance. It's out of balance. And we've got, and the way you can know that, there's a test called the lymphocyte map, MAP, which you can only get at a lab called Cyrex, Cyrex. It's in the US. It's a blood test. And they're able to do a lymphocyte MAP. What that does is it shows you all of the lymphocytes, which are B cells and T cells, natural killer cells. And how many of each kind, there's many, many kinds, how many of each kind and what ratios they're in and all that sort of thing. It's like the most, I guess you could call it functional immunology. And it really looks at these, at the lymphocyte in the most detailed, it's the most detailed evaluation of our lymphocytes. So if you don't have access to that, if you're in another country or you can't find a doctor with, that's the hard part, finding a doctor whose brain works. Because most doctors have learned how to say, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And most doctors are really good at repeating and regurgitating algorithms. It's the same thing as when you go to you're dealing with a a clerk or even the manager who says, I'm sorry, but it's our policy. It's our policy. What does that mean? That means I was told to tell you what we're going to do, regardless if it makes sense or not. It's what we do. Take it or leave it. That's what policy is. Ben Krai SLE. Ben Krai. Ben Krai SLE. So that's what doctors do. They repeat algorithms. They're amazing algorithmic. Now, in these cases, we do this. I'm sorry. But doc, can you just do this test? But I know, but it's a really good test. Can you read these papers on it? Right. So it's really hard to find. But if you could get a way to get a lymphocyte subset, get a Cyrex MAMP, lymphocyte map. But if you can't get it, at least get a lymphocyte subset, which most doctors will agree to do because they heard about it. And their friends told them. And in medical school and residency, they told them. So it's okay. They can do it. Yes. And lymphocyte subset is just a very watered down version of the big, long lymphocyte map. But it gives you B cells, it gives you T cells, it gives you NK cells. And it breaks the T cells into T4s and T8s, but it doesn't go into T17s, Tregs, and a lot of other things. And it doesn't show you ratios, etc. So, but it gives you some idea. So anyway, that's what's going on. We need to restore immune function if you have lupus or any other kind of autoimmune condition. And that means getting rid of all toxins. In fact, if you look at it, any question here is going to mean the answer is biological dentist, cleanse, fast, eat healthy when you start eating again within the appropriate window. It's always the same answer. And does it work? 100%. But that's a lot of work. And I'm not sure how your systemic inflammatory process is manifesting, whether it's with in kidneys or joints or what. So it really, really depends. But it resolves when you do prolonged fasting, juice cleansing, and change your life. It resolves. Now, is there anything you can use? Yes, because you got inflammation, right? So having inflammation, you want to reduce the inflammation. And how do you reduce inflammation? With anti-inflammatories. And what are anti-inflammatories? Anti-inflammatories are electron donors, such as vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, and all that. And part of the vitamin A family is astaxanthins. And as I mentioned a little earlier, there's a product called Valasta at valasta.net, valasta.net, valasta.net. Okay, and there you can get Valasta, which is an astaxanthin molecule connected to glucose, so your cell will swallow it up. Okay, it's very, very good. All right, that's very important. So taking Valasta, and if you've got joint problems, etc., not only can you take it, not only will you take it, you can also put. They have topical solutions to apply on joints, over your joints. In addition to that, you make sure you're taking adequate amounts of vitamin C, which is 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate 4 times a day. You're taking mixed tocopherols and tocotrienols for your vitamin E. You've got tons of vitamin D. Melatonin, you've adjusted your thyroid, you've adjusted your adrenals. And there is a very important and powerful peptide. Peptides are amino acids that are 50 or less amino acids strung together. Proteins 100 or more amino acids strung together. Don't ask me what's between 50 and 75 and 700 because they didn't tell me. They're peptides. Why don't we just call them polypeptides? Anyway, there's a very small peptide with only 3 amino acids, right? Lysine, proline, and valine. Lysine, proline, and valine, and it forms an amino acid called KPV. KPV. Anyway, it's very important, and it directly turns off NF-kappa beta, which is and MAP kinase, right? Which are involved in the inflammatory process. So NF-kappa beta is the molecule sitting right at the center of all inflammation, and you can shut that down also with curcumin and vitamin C and quercetin. Yeah, that's in the foods. All right, but to increase it, you get this hormone, this peptide called KPV. And if you have CFCs, if you have any of these situations going on, processes in your body, they're all involving imbalances and fundamentally an imbalance of at a molecular level is reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species, which are free radicals, etc. So you can use KPV, Valasta. Make sure you have all of the anti-inflammatory. I promise you, and do everything, and you won't have lupus. If you do all the stuff I just said. It's true. And it only works 100% of the time. So I'm got to remind you. All right. So now what we need to do is we've passed the first hour. So we've got to go into, as promised. I'm sorry I didn't get all your questions, and I never will because I got a big mouth. Doctor wants to do a biopsy. Okay. Doctor wants to do a biopsy. Tell him to go biopsy his own. If it's a man, tell him to biopsy his testicles. And if it's a female, tell her to go biopsy her ovaries. Keep them busy for a while, okay? Okay. And this is Beverly, because Beverly's saying my name is Beverly. I had a PET scan and it showed I have this thing in my right lower lobe. I guess it's right. Lower lobe nodule, which has high intensity. The doctor wants to biopsy. That's right. That you don't need to do. You have COPD and emphysema, so I hope you've stopped smoking and you're eating healthy. You're doing all these things, Beverly. You're born in 1950, it must mean then, huh? I was born in 51. Anyway, Beverly, you got to do everything I've been saying today, and I promise you it'll get better. And there are some other things we can do. And don't worry, don't put a name on it. The guy wants to get a biopsy, which will destroy you, hurt you, kill you. Don't do it. And they put a name on it, which will destroy you even more. So don't do that. Just get healthy. All right. Join our groups, Beverly. drthomaslodi.com. drlodi.com. Join the group and join. Okay. And let's do this. Let's get you healthy. You can get healthy. You will get healthy. All right, Beverly. You just got to do it. I can't do it for you. I'll join you. I'll be there. If you show up, I'll show up. All right. Now, let me see. Let me go back to finding your questions. Yeah, Candace, you can re-listen to it because it'll be on, as I said, Instagram, Facebook, and a lot of the other ones that just, at least those two, they store it. So let's see. Can we get more? All right, so let's see. What we got to get is the start answering your questions. All right, so I'm gonna do that. So okay, we're gonna start answering questions. I got disconnected. Candace saying, yeah. So you can rewatch this. Okay, it's as I said. Oh, 1 second, please. Back. Sorry, my kidneys are working absolutely fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. So, um, let's see, how do we answer questions now? We answer questions by reading them first. Here's a long question by whoa, Misty. Please answer whether where'd it go? Please answer whether or not liposomal glutathione, NAD, NAC are bad for CFCs. I guess specifically you're talking about ocular melanoma, tumor behind the eye, but no Mets. Also, is ascorbic acid, oral capsules, and liposomal liquid vitamins bad for CFC? I take a lot of anti-cancer, anti-CFC supplements, but the above I'm questioning if they may feed CFC and tumor growth. I take ivermectin, fenben, methylene blue, curcumin, berberine, ECGC, EGCG, green tea, andrographis, French grape seed, cat's claw, apricot kernels, black seed oil, D3, K2, multi omega 3, black seed oil, gut restore, gut defense, dandelion root, tudka, milk thistle, hyphen silymarin, ashwagandha, high dose melatonin, magnesium, a lot of good stuff there. Zinc with selenium. Why are you doing a lot of good stuff? Goes on and on. I can't read it all. It's just too long. I do all this to prevent meds, and there is no cure for other autoimmune. All right. So yes, all those things you mentioned are excellent. And you need antioxidants because what's going on is oxidative stress, uh, chronic inflammation, and all those sorts of things. So you've got to detoxify that, like we described. That means do the juice cleanse for, like the person did for like a month and a half. That's fantastic. Eat real food, that's uncooked plants, real food within a 4 to 6 hour window. Stop eating 5 hours before you sleep. In the morning, do meditation, then do reading of good health things about health, which you can find, um, books, nutrition, and all that. And you can even read scripture and uh, and then movement, exercise, movement. So you do those three things early in the morning. And then throughout the day, every 90 minutes, you get up and do 10 minutes of intense movement. All right. In addition, you go to a biological dentist to take care of that. In addition to that, you continue taking these, make sure you have good sources. Unfortunately, a lot of supplement companies have been purchased by and have been taken over by either Big Pharma or Big Bill. Billy Gates, our benefactor, humanity's benefactor. He cares about us. Um, and you're taking mushrooms and all that stuff. You're doing a lot of great, fantastic things, which tells me and you that you're doing it. You'll do whatever you can. So whatever you can means you're going to you're going to do the cleansing like we suggested, then live healthy. And this stuff will go away. We'll continue to take that. Add to your mix here Valasta and also the um, the anti-inflammatory peptide I talked about. All right. Now the next thing is, are you taking them in the right amount, all right, amounts and frequency? Because that's a problem that people don't, are not always aware of what that is. And it's better to take a few things in the appropriate, healthy dosages and frequency from good sources than to take a lot and not taking it in enough frequency, all that. So apparently you had radiation somehow, and right, right, and you damaged your optic nerve, etc., and all that. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with you, but please, you need to join our group. Join the CFC group, and you're interested in antiparasitics and all that sort of thing. So yes, part of the cleansing part and the detoxification part is to make sure that is to eliminate parasites as well. All right. And so yes, ivermectin, fenbendazole, niclosamide, or praziquantel, or um, um, yeah. Anyway, my mind is not working that fast today. Anyway, um, and taking those, and you're taking an antiprotozoal like nitazoxanide or tinidazole or metronidazole. Okay, you're doing all that. All right. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And you're also taking liver support, which is alpha lipoic acid, milk thistle, what you're doing, and the alpha lipoic acid and NAC and N-acetylcysteine and high doses of thiamine, vitamin B1. All right. All right. Yes. And you're doing all that, and absolutely. Then if you actually do have CFCs, then you want to get a couple times a week, you want to get up to, or at least one good day, let's get high levels of vitamin C, ascorbate in your blood, which you can only achieve with intravenous use. Okay, because you want to get your blood level up to 350 milligrams per deciliter. And the way you do that is IVs. Okay, you cannot achieve that orally. All right. All right. And I would suggest getting a doctor who is willing to do it the right way. And that means that you're going to be getting more than, because see, the average period of time that you have enough ascorbate in your blood to directly oxidize CFCs. The average amount of time one gets there from getting twice a week or 3 times a week vitamin C IVs is if they have adequate amounts for their physiological requirements, because they're taking 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate 4 times a day. Is to get your IV to get you up to 350 milligrams per deciliter for the oxidative effect. Otherwise, there's no other real reason for taking IV vitamin C. Okay, unless the only other reason would be is if you're incapable for one reason or another of eating that much, getting that much oil, then you would take lower doses, maybe 25 grams every other day or whatever, IV. But you don't need to do that if you're taking oil. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Now here's another. Okay, I'm just telling you that's it, and I promise you this will go away. It always happens that way. But you've got to be doing all of this, and don't forget one of them, because if you have a problem, in other words, your body is adapting physiologically because it's not being given what it needs. What you need to do is not only give it what it needs, but add in, like we said, these other supplements, large amounts of vitamin D, etc. Ascorbic, and it's not ascorbic acid; it's sodium ascorbate. All right, and the detox, and the parasite detox, and all that sort of. All right, okay. So, and before you start a parasite cleanse and using all these medications, you have to do a liver function test, which is AST and ALT, and make sure they're not elevated. If they are elevated, then you've got to modify either the frequency or dose of what you're taking, or both. All right. Yes. So please join a group so we can get into this more thoroughly, okay? And I promise you're going to get better. Promise. All right, so here's another question by Candace. So she's saying, LL, lessons learned. Just because doctors do a staph and get a negative result doesn't mean you don't have staph infection. Okay. Again, that's the germ theory, which was and still is a theory, nothing more than a theory, incorrect, but it's a theory. And so you don't have a staph infection. You might have colonization of staph, and that's because why? Why colonization of staph? Because anything that's in your body, any organism that's in your body, any organisms that is anywhere on the planet is there because it's eating. It's got food to eat. You have ants in your house because they found food, and you can spray them all day, night, and all day long, all night and all day with poisons. It's not going to work. Take away the food, they're gone. The same in our gut. To restore healthy gut biome, you need to make sure you're eating human food, because human food is eaten also by the microorganisms that we need to keep us alive. And then what'll happen is you'll have the amount of staph you need, because Staphylococcus is an organism that we do need and use, but we don't need a lot of it. Just like we have fungus, funguses, and in our gut biome, we need only about 10% of our gut biome to be funguses, because they do have a particular role. But if we get more than that, then we wind up with in other words, if we have more fungus growing, more like candida, it's because of the food we're eating and our stress and all those sorts of things. So the degree to which we're not living in a way that satisfies all of our biological and psychological needs, the degree to which we're doing that will be the degree to which we have this imbalances and adaptations and all that sort of thing. All right. So remember that. Oh, why am I sleeping? I slept. Okay, so in question, Rosetta, to your question about how long do I fast and what do I do? Just drink water. The answer is please. Peptides are not pharmaceuticals, moody bug. Peptides are not pharmaceuticals, bug. Okay. Peptides are groups of amino acids that are normally produced in our body, but instead of taking them out of the body, they put them together in a lab, and that's why they're called synthetic, but they're still that. If I have epithalamin, which is 4 amino acids, and I put it together, it's still, whether or not it was made by a plant or anything else, it's still same thing. So, but they're not pharmaceuticals. They're not drugs. Okay. They're augmenting what happens normally in our body. And now Candace is saying here that what I'm talking about is the hallelujah diet. Sounds like it. 80% raw and 20% juiced. And some 20% raw juiced and 20%, 80% raw juiced and 20% cooked. Now the hallelujah diet is from Malcolmus, George Malcolmus, who's a minister. And the hallelujah diet is really the Adam and Eve diet. And you can find that diet real easy in a book called Genesis, chapter 1, verse 29. You'll find out what it is. And it's eating healthy, eating nothing but uncooked plants. And that's where he got it from. All right, now here's a moody bug again. Intermittent fasting, they call it, but not fasting. Correct. Intermittent fasting, what they're calling, because they're not aware that the fact that 24 hours without nutrients is the definition of a fast. I mean, intermittent fasting, the way they have it, it means I could eat breakfast and then fast until lunch, and then eat lunch, and then fast until dinner. That's intermittent fasting. No. So what they've done is they've taken out the breakfast and they just have lunch and dinner. So they're calling it intermittent fasting. It's stupid. A fast is 24 hours. So intermittent fasting would be eating maybe fasting, like not eating every third day or eating every other day, or not eating on weekends, or taking a week out every whatever. But revolving around the proper definition of the word fast, which is 24 hours. Okay. Okay, this is from at CB Arnett's. I don't know what anyway, the thing is, AI offered me Dr. Lodi recommendations, and I have followed them, and I have no more dull ache from what I was suffering from a month ago. Excellent. Great. Beautiful. Fantastic. Okay, here's the same person. I put into AI my symptoms and told AI I was following Dr. Lodi, and the AI recommended to do me suggestions, which all worked. I wasn't able to talk to the doctor these past few weeks. I am awesome. Yeah. Whatever you meant, I agree. Thank you, Billy Trent. Okay, here, Moody Bug again here. What do you think dreams are? Well, dreams are um equally important as restorative sleep. They're part of the sleep cycle. And dreams are like this. If you had a tea, a tea kettle where you boil water, the tea kettle has a little opening at the end so that when you get to a certain point, the steam goes through, it'll whistle. And then you know it's done. That means, because if it's steaming, that means it's boiling. So you know it's done. If you put your finger over, or said it burned, put something else over and prevented the steam from coming out, the pot would eventually blow up from the pressure. And that's exactly what dreams are. Dreaming is steaming. Dreaming is steaming. Dreaming is steaming. You can have steamy dreams, but dreaming is steaming. Okay, that means you're allowing the stuff that accumulates and all the things you didn't say that you wanted to say to the boss, or whatever, or feelings you had, or regrets, or whatever, doubts, fears, all that stuff has to be eliminated and processed so that it doesn't clog up our mind. So that's why we dream. That's what dreams are, and they're necessary. They're a necessary part of detox. It's mind detox, just like sleeping is restorative sleep is cleaning up and getting rid of, detoxing stuff that accumulates biologically on a cellular level. Okay, so dreaming is steaming, and it's very important. And if you go to bed early and you're not taking in alcohol and other drugs, and you go to sleep early, by 9 o'clock, you're going to have enough 90-minute cycles that you had adequate amounts of restorative sleep. Because remember, before 1 a.m. or around 2 a.m., around that time, 12:30 to 2, our biological day begins, because we flip from predominantly restorative sleep cycles to predominantly dream sleep cycles, which is REM, rapid eye movement. Okay, so before sleep, you're getting like 10 to 20% of your cycles with dreaming. After 1 or whatever the time is, you're going to get 80% dreaming and only 20% of restorative sleep. So that's why by going to bed early, you're going to get not only restorative sleep, but a lot of dream sleep. And you will have cleaned out your mind, and through lymphatic cleansing, and also for dreaming. Dreaming is steaming as dreaming is steaming. Let's look for other questions. This is Selena. I use coconut oil and cloves for oral inflammation, etc. Spit out after swishing, holding a long time as I can. All right, Selena, good idea. So you wake up in the morning. Here's a good oral hygiene practice. You wake up in the morning, you go get a mouthful of water, swish it around, and spit it out. Maybe do that a couple times, and gargle and spit it out. So you've gotten rid of all those things that have been growing overnight. Then you get the mouthful of coconut oil, extra virgin, organic coconut oil. Take a swig of that and swish it around for 20 minutes. So you can be taking a shower by that time. You can go prepare your tea or coffee, whatever you're going to prepare, or you can be reading or whatever. Okay. And then you do that. And then you spit it out in the trash, not in the drain, because it'll plug up your drain. Okay. And that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. All right. Okay, here's a question from Leanne. And Leanne is saying, is there any research about sodium DCA to support mitochondria for CFC? Okay, so DCA, which is dichloroacetate, is a molecule with 3 different atoms, right? 2 chlorines and an acetate, right? And it turns out that that molecule blocks fermentation. So if you have CFCs, it's blocking their ability to ferment and forcing the pyruvate, which was converted from glucose, to go into the mitochondria and have good, efficient, what do you call it? Production of energy. That's what. So DCA will do that. It blocks. And since CFCs, that's what they live on, is fermentation. You're blocking that, so you're starving them. It's really good. Take it with alpha lipoic acid together because they both together enhance it. Because DCA prevents it from fermenting, and then as soon as the pyruvate gets into the mitochondria instead of going through fermentation, the ALA locks it in. That's a great combination. Okay, alpha lipoic acid 400 milligrams 3 times a day, and the DCA, you work your way up. You start out at 5 milligrams per kilo, and you work your way up. Usually, it's about 10 or 15 at the most. When you get up to the point where it's causing numbness or anything like that, you've gone too far. You back down a little bit. Okay, that's really, really important, and it's very, very healthy to take that. All right, so that's how it works with the mitochondria. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, here's a question by @Lorraine 2761. Is hyperbaric safe for someone with a slight PFO? Please, acronyms. I'm acronomically challenged. PFO. Let me see. Am I going to get it? That's not like PLO, right? Is that the Palestine Fluoridation Organization? PFO. Let me see if they can tell me who. Come on, Google, do something worth what? Patent foramen ovale. Yay! Is that it? Okay. A patent foramen ovale. All right. So where are your questions again? Let me get back to your question. So the question was, oh, yeah, I was here. Oh my God, where is it again? Come on. Okay. So is hyperbaric safe for someone with a slight PFO? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Hyperbaric oxygen is just getting in a chamber and breathing oxygen, usually 100%. And the pressure forces the oxygen in throughout the whole body. So getting oxygen, increased oxygen into our body and our cells is good for everyone. And it's good for because it gives you more oxygen, which is what we need for health. All right, so it's absolutely excellent. And if you have a slight patent foramen valent, foramina, you have a slight PFO, foramen ovale. That's normally that what happens is when the heart is forming, it's between the two chambers, the lower chambers of the heart, which are the ventricles, and it usually closes. If it doesn't close, that means the right ventricle, the blood from the right ventricle and left ventricle are being shared to some degree. If it's large, you're in trouble, but if it's small, then it's okay. And yes, oxygen absolutely will help you. Absolutely will help you. All right, it's very important. All right. So yes, yes, yes. Here's Anita. Is there any way to share this? Yeah. So you can share this, yeah, by just telling people to go to either like Instagram, Facebook, or any of them that are storing this, because right when we hang up, it's going to get stored onto Instagram, and then you can just share that link with anybody. All right. So yes, the answer is yes. Anyway, I wanted to tell you all, thank you so much. Fantastic day, morning, evening, and we're going to have a fantastic week because we're going to remember all the stuff and incorporate it into our lives. All right. And remember, my goal is not to answer your questions like how many milligrams of this or this. No, the goal is to give you understanding. So you could have answered the question yourself. That's my goal. All right. And my most fundamental primary goal is that you never need a doctor the rest of your life. I want to free you from medical tyranny. My goal and your goal. Okay. So Wadikap, namaste, namaskar, and aloha, everyone.